Hi, boys and girls. Today we are going to retell the story of Caps for Sale. Caps for Sale was the story that we read yesterday. If you don't remember much about the story so that you could retell it, that means telling it in your own words, I would like for you to please go back to the slide and click the title Caps for Sale and re-listen to the story. Then you could come back here and retell with us. So as I said, boys and girls, when you retell a story, you're telling it in your own words. I've given you a hint and a strategy that you can use right here to retell a story. It's called a 5-finger retell. Now, where do you have 5 fingers? On your what? That's right. It's on your hand. So boys and girls, you are actually going to use your hands to retell the story. This is a really fun way to retell a story. There's a certain way you need to do it. So let's do it together. Look at my hand, please, boys and girls. Do you notice this is the center of my hand? We call it the palm of my hand. Give your palm a nice little tap on your hand. Very good. That's where we say the title of the story and the most important parts. We just give a quick little review. So point to your palm of your hand, the center of your hand. I'm going to point here and here. And I'm going to say the title again. The title was Caps for Sale. And the story was mostly about a man or a peddler who was trying to sell caps in the village. Now, boys and girls, if you agree with that, give me a thumbs up. If you don't agree with me, give me a thumbs down. And if you're not sure, you don't remember, you can just give me middle thumbs. Okay, boys and girls, when we retell the story on our hand, we start with our littlest pinky finger. He's our guy right here. And we start by telling the setting of the story. Now, the setting is where the story takes place, the place where the story happens. The setting of the story, Caps for Sale, is the village because the man went through the village. He stopped to sit under a tree, but the tree was in the village. So the setting was the village. My next finger right here, my ring finger, is where I'm going to talk about the characters in the story. Now, the characters are the people or the animals who are in the story. And I'm going to give you a big hint. Those are mostly the ones that do the talking in the story. The characters in the story, Caps for Sale, were the peddler, the man who was selling things, and the monkeys. Now, the monkeys didn't talk except to say tisk, 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 but they were still the characters in the story. Now, this tall man right here is where we tell the problems that happened in the story. Now, this story certainly did have a big problem. Do you remember what the problem was in the story? Shout it out. That's right. The problem was the monkey stole all the caps from the poor peddler. That poor man, he got very angry, didn't he? We're going to talk about that on this finger, because this finger, my pointer finger, is where I tell the details and the events in the story. And if you see right here, I see a B, an M, and an E. What do you think that B, that M, and that E might stand for? That's right, beginning, middle, and end. Now we know we've retold the place where the story happened, the setting, the characters who were in the story, and that big problem in the story. But I want more details when I retell a story in my own words. I want to give more details. So let's think about what happened in the beginning. In the beginning of the story, the peddler put all the caps on his head and walked carefully into town. And why did he walk carefully? That's right, he didn't want his caps to spill or upset his caps, if you remember that special vocabulary word we learned. That was the beginning. But the man didn't sell any caps, so he lay down and he took a really long nap. Remember, he woke up refreshed from that nap? That's right. Then that's when the problem happened. What happened? It's still in the middle of the story. That's right, the monkeys took took or stole all his caps up in the tree. Now you notice I didn't just say the monkey took the caps. I said the monkey took the caps up in the tree because that's first grade retelling. You're using lots of details. And then the man got very, very angry and he demanded those monkeys give his caps back. But did they do that? No, they didn't. It took 3 tries. Then finally, when the man threw his cap down on the ground, that's when the monkeys threw all the caps down and the man had to pick them up, poor guy, all by himself and put them back on his head. That's when he walked back to town to try and sell the rest of his caps. Now, you see, boys and girls, we've spent a lot of time on this pointer finger. But that's okay. We told a lot of events and details from the beginning, the middle, and the end of the story. That leads us to our very last finger, my thumb. And the thumb retell part of the story is the solution. And you see I have a check mark here that means everything was A-OK at the end. So we remember that the problem was the monkeys took or stole the caps from the peddler. What was the solution? Can you try and think of what happened to solve the problem? That's right. The monkeys threw the caps down after they saw the man throw the caps down. So he solved his own problem without even realizing it. After he threw the caps down, they threw the caps down. And he was able to put them on his head and walk back to town. Boys and girls, we just retold the whole story of Caps for Sale simply by using our hand. So now what you're going to do is I want you to use your own words to retell the story using your hand. And I want you to go get the special partner that you had yesterday from the story, your special stuffed animal, toy, or doll that you use to retell the story. I want you to use your 5 fingers on your hand to retell the story to your stuffed animal. Now, before you go, I want you to hold up the finger that you should start with when you're doing your retell. If you held up your pinky, you're correct. But before we even start with our pinky, we have to do something here in the palm of our hand. What is it? That's right. Say the name or the title of the story and the main things that happened in the story. I think you're ready. Have fun.